This is VOA News. Via remote, I'm Diane Roberts. The coronavirus outbreak has reached nearly 1.5 million official cases in 192 countries, and at least 86,000 people have died. The majority of them, 60,000, have died in Europe, with Italy having the largest number of fatalities. The United States passed the 400,000 mark for cases and 14,600 deaths. The World Trade Organization chief said Wednesday the pandemic could provide the deepest recession in living memory. He said COVID-19 has upended the global economy and with it international trade. The U.S. Federal Reserve said Wednesday the uncertainty surrounding the duration and severity of the coronavirus pandemic creates major downside risks to the U.S. economy. In minutes from an emergency meeting, the Fed said the shutdowns imposed to contain the virus create hardships for businesses and households, and added it shouldn't have the long-lasting impact that was seen in the wake of the global financial crisis of 2008. Wall Street stocks closed Wednesday with solid gains as the market embraced data from New York and other coronavirus hotspots that suggest the outbreak is leveling off. The Dow Jones Industrial Average and the S&P 500 both were up 3.4% at the closing bell. NASDAQ was up 2.6%. The head of the World Health Organization defends his agency's handling of the COVID-19 pandemic. WHO Director General Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus said in a news briefing Wednesday, only national and global unity will defeat the virus. He said, if you don't want many more body bags, then please quarantine politicizing COVID-19. This comes after President Trump threatened to cut off funding to the WHO. This is VOA News. U.S. Senator Bernie Sanders suspended his campaign for the U.S. Democratic presidential nomination. This announcement from the one-time former frontrunner via video. The senator dropped out of the race, clears the way for former Vice President Joe Biden to accept the nomination and take on President Donald Trump in the November election. Sanders used strong polling and solid fundraising, collected almost entirely from small donations made online to quiet down early doubters of his campaign. A presidential official told AFP France will extend its lockdown in order to slow the spread of the coronavirus. President Emmanuel Macron will address the nation Monday to tell citizens about the new decisions in the fight against the virus. Right now, the containment order is in effect until April 15th. Italian Prime Minister Giuseppe Conte rejects calls from businesses to reopen factories and said Wednesday Italy must stick with its rigid lockdown to try to curb the COVID-19 epidemic. He told a German newspaper, quote, scientists are telling us not to ease the restrictive measures at all, end quote. Conte said he was confident if Italians respect the government's lockdown, the data on new infections and fatalities would improve. The Civil Protection Agency reported Wednesday the daily tally of deaths in Italy had declined from the day before. It is usually the most crowded week of the year in Rome, but for the first time in recorded history, the Eternal City, including the Vatican, are deserted on Holy Week. Travel and fear of contagion keep thousands of pilgrims away. This year, all Holy Week ceremonies are being held behind closed doors in St. Peter's Basilica, except for one. A reenactment of the moment Jesus died on the cross will take place Friday evening in an empty St. Peter's Square. It also is from where Pope Francis will deliver his Easter message Sunday. The Afghan government has released 100 Taliban prisoners as of late Wednesday. It is the first step in a peace process with the insurgent group. The Afghan National Security Council spokesman said the prisoners were released as part of the peace effort based on their health, age, and length of the remaining sentence. The Taliban had said Tuesday they would now approach the U.S. to resolve the prisoner release issue after telling its technical team in Kabul to stop participating in what they call fruitless meetings with representatives of Afghan government. According to Reuters, Somalia's health minister says the country has registered its first death from coronavirus, and Ethiopia's prime minister declared a state of emergency Wednesday to help curb the spread of the novel coronavirus. The prime minister made the announcement via Twitter. From Washington, via remote,